What's going on? Happy day to everyone out there. Whether you're watching this live, you're watching it on the rebroadcast of the rebroadcast of the rebroadcast, because that's just how many times you're going to watch this and you're going to share this. So I am excited. I'm excited to be doing this tonight. I'm going to tell y'all, I'm actually doing this because I did something today. Then I had nerve to get mad about it. Then I had to realize, you know what? You was just wrong. You were just wrong. So, I always say that I am no relationship guru, but I do tell you what I know about what I've experienced in my own marriage. And so that's why I'm here. I figure that, whether you are in a relationship, coming out of a relationship, going into one, all the tips and tools that I'm sharing, you can use in everyday life, in everyday relationships. How are you, ma'am? Great to see ya. I bow to you. So look, I'm just going to try to hit it and quit it in 15 minutes because I just don't do long lives. I can't stand it. And my attention span is not that long. So I try to give the same thing that I would expect. So, okay. So let me just share this with y'all right quick. So this morning, my husband and I, we were leaving for church, and so I knew that today he was going to be doing, a lot of moving around and lifting some things. And so, I asked him, I said, "Are you wearing your comfortable shoes?" And he said, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay." He said, "Yeah, I'm prepared." And then I said, "Oh, maybe you ought to put something on your back and this is that and the other." And he says, "Well, there's nothing wrong with my back. I was just saying that my feet were hurting because I wore the wrong shoes." Hey. He said, I wore the wrong shoes. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop trying to help you out, because every time I try to say something to you, you always act like you don't need me. And I just kind of walked away out of the room. And then I thought about it. I really just heard God say to me, in that moment, you were trying to be his mother. He is a grown A man. Yes, I said grown A on a Sunday. Y'all know I ain't that deep and I ain't that spiritual. I ain't that religious. I'm spiritual. I ain't religious. But I got mad about something that I really didn't have any need to do. And so immediately God was like, you need to do a live on being a wife or being a mother. So let me just share some things with y'all on how we women, so men are going to love this one, because this is all about us ladies and how we kind of get out of line and we want to get upset when they don't accept what we're offering. Well, sometimes they don't always need what we think they need. They could take care. If they were living out in the wild, they would survive. So why do we act like we got to be hand and foot? Do you need this? Let me do this. Blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So that's what happened this morning. So then something else happened 2 hours later. I did the same exact thing. And I said the same exact thing to him, and I was reminded of the same exact thing. So it was just obvious I was going to do this live. So here's a question. So I want to ask this question. So what does it mean when a man says to us that we remind him of his mother? And sure, we've all heard that. What does it mean when a woman says to a man, you remind me of my father? Well, that is a two-way street. That can go either way. Because if you've never met their parents, if their parents were jerks or abusive or not very good people, that's not a very good compliment. But if they're awesome people, it's a great compliment. So when my husband said that to me, he said, you remind me a little bit of his mom. Because he saw, sometimes when a man says that to us, they see some characteristics and some loving qualities in you that remind them of their mother. So remind, we got to keep that word in mind, ladies. Remind, that means that when he sees things or you say certain things, it kind of takes him back to a very charming and very warm place where he feels loved. Doesn't need you to be his mother. He's just saying remind him of his mother. But so for the men, when a woman says you remind me of my father, I know for me, I was saying that here's a person that's going to be a protector, Here's a person that's going to be a protector. He's going to watch over me. He's going to never say anything cross, because I'm going to tell y'all, in all the years that my parents were married, like, I never heard them argue. I ain't saying they didn't. I'm just saying I never heard them argue. My father never called my mother out of her name. My father went to work every day. He worked at the VA hospital in West Haven, Connecticut. And all I knew was he worked at the hospital. So y'all, I was going to school telling people my father was a doctor. I didn't even know. But my father would come home, every 2 weeks when he got paid. And, that was long before direct deposit. That was when you got a paper check. He would bring his entire check home cash and put it out on the table. And my mother he would give it to my mother for her to take care of the household expensive. So, of course, when I saw that, I was like, shoot, yeah, I want somebody to come and lay their money on the table for me. And it's so interesting because a lot of things that my father did in our home, my husband does that in our home, right down to fixing our children breakfast when they were growing up, to fixing me breakfast, to just like, and then his paycheck. My husband, like, he pretty much, when he gets paid, he sends me a screenshot of his paycheck, so I'll know what I need, what I'm working with, and this is that and the other. So yes, it can be a compliment, or it can be like, I just don't want you to be anything like my mother. I don't want you to be anything like my father. So that's why it is so key that before we get into relationships, or we're getting to serious relationships, it's key that we meet some of the family and even some of the extended family. But for the most part, those parents, because if someone is saying that to you, you really need to know the context of what they're saying. So here's a couple of ways where we try to act more like their mothers than their wives. Ladies, we know that we are thinkers, we are doers, we like things boom, 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 boom. And men, like I said in a couple other videos, men are like waffles. They think compartmentalized. We're like spaghetti. As a matter of fact, I had some today. And all that spaghetti was all tangled up in there, but it was doing its thing. We have to understand that they're not like that. So we have to watch our tone when we're speaking to them. For instance, if you say something, or you thought you told him to do something, or you implied, don't imply. Be explicit. Be firm in what you're saying. When you think you told him something and he didn't do it, and you say, well, how many times do I have to tell you? Didn't I say that before? Why do I have to keep repeating myself? You don't ever listen. I don't think you care about me because you don't ever listen to me. Duh. He can't listen to you because you're not being clear and concise. So it's important that we feel that we're clear and concise when we're communicating with them. The other thing we have to be mindful of, and I'm telling y'all, this is straight out of the pages of my own life, because I went through all of this. Like, I would say stuff to my husband and have a tone, and then I would get mad when he said, you ain't my mother, or the N word, nagger. Are you asking or telling? There's a way that we can speak to the men in our life, even when you speak to other people, it doesn't even have to be about husband and wife. There's a way that you approach people. Are you asking or are you telling? And then you have to watch that tone that you put on the asking or the telling. Like, you could say, hey, I need you to put the trash out, or will you put the trash out? Or you could say it, will you put the trash out? This is like the 5th time I've asked you. Well, that sounds like a wife trying to be a mother to her husband. Honey, the trash, and I say this to my husband all the time. I'll look and I'll say, oh, I said this. No, here, I won't even say anything now. At 29 years, I don't say anything. I just start doing the trash myself. And he'll say, oh, I'll get the trash. And then I'll say, you said that yesterday. I don't mind. I'll take it out. Because my thing is, some things aren't even worth arguing about. I'm not about to argue about no trash. All I know is it's annoying me, so I need to take care of it. So how are you saying the things that you say to your husband? Because sometimes we have a way of saying it, and it may hit him in a way that reminds him of how his mother spoke to him when she was chastising him. So we got to be careful how we speak to them. Do you speak as if you're the only smart one? Sometimes you can, I did this to my husband, earlier today. He was putting something in the microwave, and it was a Chinese box. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like overreacting, thinking he put it in with the little metal piece in there. And then I had to stop and think. Today was just a day I was just being somebody today, wasn't I? And I had to think like, this man just turned 56 years old last week. I think he knows not to put anything metal in the microwave. So why am I acting like I'm the only one that knows? So sometimes we have a way of saying things to them that we're elevating ourselves. We're slyly elevating ourselves like, I'm smart and I know this and you don't. But you think that you're being helpful, but you're not, because they can pick up on it, especially if he's been with you and been in enough conversations or enough arguments with you to know. Like, we got to watch how we say that. And then how do we make him feel when we're in public or when we're with other couples? You know, are you saying stuff like, you don't eat that. You don't eat that at home. Why are you saying that? No, like, how are you handling him when you are in the presence of other couples? Now, here's something you will know about the Strouds. The Strouds will lay it all out no matter where we are. We will get with it. Now, we ain't throwing food and knives ain't jabbing into the table and all that other stuff. But I'm going to tell you, if we disagree about something or we don't like something, we have learned a way to take care of it right then and there, because we ain't carrying that for the rest of the evening. We ain't carrying that in the car, and I definitely ain't going to bed with that. So we've had friends that laugh at us because they were like, man, the one thing about y'all was like, y'all would take care. And we wouldn't argue or be disrespectful. We just had this way that we knew that we were correcting. And most of the time he was correcting me, because I get with you right in a minute. And he's like, oh, you want to take that there? I'm like, well, we could do that. We could talk like that's what we would do. But that was something that somehow we managed to get through that without us feeling like the other one was putting the other one down or embarrassing. Or if it did happen and I felt like I was going to take it to a point that it was not healthy to be done in front of other people, as soon as we get in the car, then we having that conversation. Like, get that stuff out. Don't be holding it. It doesn't make sense to hold it, because all you doing is suppressing yourself to try to keep peace. You, like I said in another video, if you're not speaking your truth, then you don't have any peace. If you're saying, well, I'm not going to say anything to keep peace. Well, where's the peace being kept? In the person that's not having the problem, because you don't have the problem and there is no peace. And then the other thing is, sometimes our nurturing can be deemed as nagging. Sometimes I'm just, especially when my husband is sick, like, I'm always trying to say, do you want some soup? Do you want some? No, I don't want anything. Do you want this? And then finally I'll say, well, you know what? I'm just going to put it all up in here. And when you get ready for it, you can have it. Well, first of all, we all know when we're sick, we got a taste for something and we don't have a taste for something. Sometimes we think we're being nurturing, but if I'm still kind of pushing and pushing and pushing, I'm nagging. Bottom line is, God has put us in the lives of our men and the men that we are ordained to marry to be helpmeets, to be there to support and to elevate him and to make him feel wonderful and to cheer him on and be his biggest cheerleader. Because at the end of the day, ladies, whether your man says he has an ego problem or not, they have an ego. They just may not have an ego problem. They love to be praised. They love to be exalted. They love to be they love to feel that we need them, because if we don't feel like we need them, then why are they there? So we have to make sure that we're putting them first. And I'm not saying that we're letting ourselves go and we're doing everything for them. Absolutely not. I'm just saying that I had a conversation with someone and I had to say, when we get married, our spouse and our children, they're our family. Everyone else, they're our relatives. And so he has to feel like he comes before your relatives. Doesn't matter who they are. If it's your mother, brother, sister, first cousin who you grew up with and they like a sister and this, or like a brother or whatever, your husband comes first. And if they don't feel like they're first in our lives and in the marriage, they'll be like, okay, I'll be first somewhere. So, I had to realize that, in my marriage, I was all out. I was doing everything. And my husband was very supportive. Let me tell y'all, I was in everything. I was on a bowling league. And then when I wasn't bowling, I was playing softball. And when I wasn't doing that, I was in a ceramics class. And when I wasn't doing that, I was working 12, 14 hours a day. And I was still taking care of the kids, but I was all over the place. Doing this, doing that. Fortunately, my husband loves to read and he can kind of introvertly go and find things. And he kept himself while I was doing all of this. But then I had to realize I'm not paying attention to him. And so they love to be paid attention to. They don't want you all over them, but they want you to be more of their wife and not their mother. So we have to and some of these things I actually sat down and talked to my husband about, like to ask him, make sure I was on point, because I don't know the male point of view. I can only get his point of view. And one day I'm going to have him on here. Y'all going to absolutely love that. But I'm going to have to choose his words, because my husband will be long-winded. Now, if you want to see that, that's where I draw the line, because he is long-winded and I can't have all that. And then he can get into rants. So just kind of keep in mind, when a man says you remind him of his mother, what does that actually look like? What is his mother like? And when we're saying that he reminds us of our father, what is that? What are we looking for from him when we say that? So sometimes we have these expectations of men that they're unable to fulfill. We have got to realize that every need that we have, he will not be able to fulfill. I hope I just freed somebody up right there. He's not. He's not capable of fulfilling every need that you have. So you've got to scrap that. You have got to be comfortable within your own skin, and you have to find relationships and friendships and things to do that fulfill those things, because every gap and every void that we have, he is not going to be able to fulfill it. Like, karaoke just makes my life. It makes my day. Guess what? My husband ain't coming up there to do karaoke with me. I have to find other nuts that's willing to get up on the stage with me. And that's just a very light example. But there's sometimes we as women, we want to put all of that burden on a man, that you've got to fulfill me, and everything that I need, you have to fill that gap. That's irresponsible of us ladies to expect that, because they can't do it. They just can't. So, I did it in 17 minutes. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please share it. Watch it again if you missed it from the beginning. But thank you so much for watching. Tasha says, men like your husband are far and few between, like a needle in a haystack. Let me tell you. Okay, you about to make me go for 3 more minutes. You know what? It's not that they're few and far between. Sometimes we can get married to a man who either is not ready for us, or they're not for us. They're not ready for us, or they're not for us. Because every man can be made into the type of man that we want. We just have to do our role. And sometimes we just have to play hard to get. Let them chase us. Women today don't let men chase them anymore. And so a man has to be ready for you, because God has to get him ready. He has to get him ready. If he is not ready, and we get out there and we jump into a marriage with that person, what happens after that? Like I said before, contributing factor. Contributing factor means that you have taken part in the collision that has actually just happened. So all men out there can be great men. It's up to us ladies how they end up, because if we take them as they are and they're not ready when it's time to get married, then we've created that collision course that's going to happen down the line. Let me tell you, my husband was ready. I was the one that was not ready. When I tell you this is an anomaly of a relationship, but I knew he was a good catch, and I was like, I can't let that one go. So we have to determine how we're going to be treated, and things are going. They got to be ready. God, you got to make sure that they're ready for us before we jump into the relationship. Because if he's still a boy and he ain't mature, and we get out there and we marry him, then we get what we get 1 year, 5 year, 10 years down the line. So that's it. Tasha made me go 2 minutes over the 17 minutes. The 2 minutes I was already over. But I hope you got something out of that. I hope there are some nuggets. And I know that this is such a touchy subject. People aren't willing to share with questions or put information in the group. I'm okay with this. As long as you share this with folks that you know can use this or will benefit from this, that's all I care about. Because if one marriage or one relationship can be saved or spared as a result of something that I say, then hey, my purpose has been served. So hey, I don't mind being transparent. So thank you for watching, and I hope you all enjoy this. Give me some feedback and let me know some thoughts. Talk to you later. Did y'all like me wearing my hat backwards today? It was actually my Connecticut hat, but I didn't want to look like a nerd. So I just I went Connecticut on y'all today, and I just, everything's Connecticut. Got my Yale on. I went Connecticut tonight. So thank you for watching. Bye-bye.